Okay, so today is the unofficial trade deadline for Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk is due $22.85 million in option bonuses today. And 49ers GM John Lynch spoke yesterday at the NFL annual meeting, and he told Bay Area reporters he has no second thoughts about awarding Brandon Aiyuk's 4-year, $120 million contract extension. And he also implied that he fully expects Brandon Aiyuk to be on the roster in 2025. So any trade talks over the past couple of weeks involving Brandon Aiyuk are completely off the table. He will not be traded. Obviously, the main problem with a trade involving Brandon Aiyuk has been, the compensation that the 49ers are wanting in return, and that there's a decent amount of teams out there that are skeptical about how Brandon Aiyuk might be as a player coming off of that massive knee injury that he suffered last year. So, John Lynch, went on to say, we love Brandon Aiyuk as a football player. We have no regrets about paying him. Obviously, the report for over the last week or so has been, that the 49ers are unlikely to trade Brandon Aiyuk because of those two reasons, because of teams being skeptical about, him as a player once he comes back for the injury. And there's not a lot of teams that want to take on the massive contract for Brandon Aiyuk. So it looks like all the trade speculation involving Brandon Aiyuk is going to come to an end. He's going to be a 49er in 2025. And that's that. Obviously, the Patriots, the Browns were amongst teams that were interested in a Brandon Aiyuk trade, that were confirmed teams that reached out to the 49ers about a Brandon Aiyuk trade. The 49ers are fully expected to pay Brandon Aiyuk that $22.85 million option bonus today, which would seemingly end any trade speculation. Obviously, the biggest question now for the 49ers is when Brandon Aiyuk will be ready for the 2025 season. Aiyuk met last week with a doctor who performed the surgery to repair his torn anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee. Aiyuk also sustained a torn medial collateral ligament during the October 20th game last season versus the Chiefs. Obviously, John Lynch declined to obviously place a timetable on Brandon Aiyuk's return because they genuinely, at this point in time, do not know. But he did say that all things are kind of pointing in a positive direction. He said that he did very well. We are pleased with Brandon's progress. He's been working hard and has got good reviews from his doctor. He said that was a key marker, as I mentioned it would be, and he did well. He said, we've always been interested in Brandon being a part of the Niners. We made that decision when we signed him. It's good to hear that he's tracking well with his progress. He's working really hard to do so, and I fully expect Brandon Aiyuk will be a part of us moving forward. So obviously, Brandon Aiyuk's going to be, or he turned 27 years old on March 17th. Obviously earned that big contract last year after catching 75 passes for 1,342 yards, receiving, and 7 touchdowns to go along with that in the 2023 season. So, yeah, man, Brandon Aiyuk's going to be a Niner. The 49ers are keeping him. They will be paying him that bonus. And again, there were some rumors and some talks kind of surrounding if, even if the 49ers pay Brandon Aiyuk that option bonus, that they still might elect to trade him. That's not going to be the case. Brandon Aiyuk will be a 49er in 2025. And again, the 49ers can now shift their focus to not trading Brandon Aiyuk, but trying to get him back as soon as possible for the 2025 season. So let me know what you guys think of this. Obviously, there were a couple weeks, in the recent weeks where It really looked like the 49ers were going to deal Brandon Aiyuk. But again, man, like I'm sure it was a little bit of the 49ers may have not felt the compensation that they got that they were getting in return was enough for Brandon Aiyuk. And on top of that, I'm sure that, teams on the other side of the deal were probably thinking, we don't want to give up too much because we don't know how Brandon Aiyuk will be as a player once he returns from his injury. So all trade talks are off the table now. Brandon Aiyuk will be a 49er in 2025. Obviously, Niner faithful, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about all of this. Obviously, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan both have kind of already touched on this Brandon Aiyuk situation at the NFL annual meeting with all the coaches and whatnot. So we'll see if any more updates are given, of course, but obviously they will be paying Brandon Aiyuk that $22.85 million roster bonus. So obviously be prepared to see that in the headlines at some point today. And it will be that instead of Brandon Aiyuk being traded to another team. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.